bizarre video shows a medieval-style battle between Chinese and Indian troops wearing riot gear and wielding clubs which left 27. China and India have been at each other's throats as the two nuclear-armed nations feud over a narrow corridor of land which is high in the Himalayas. Never-before-seen footage, which has been dressed up by the Chinese Communist Party as a propaganda package, has now been released of the brutal 8-hour brawl involving some 500 troops which took place on the barren mountainside. It comes as Chinese and Indian soldiers clashed once again, with a pact for no guns in the region, meaning troops end up having to fight with improvised weapons. The surreal video shows the confrontation as hundreds of soldiers armed with riot shields, some which still say police, and wielding clubs square up to one another in the Gulf. Some 23 Indian troops died in the bloody brawls, while China claimed only 4 of soldiers were killed in a long-overdue statement. Survivors said medieval-style battles raged as Chinese soldiers armed with spiked clubs, iron rods and batons wrapped in barbed wire attacked. The heavily edited footage begins with a group of Chinese soldiers setting up camp in the region, in what appears to have been a prearranged propaganda exercise. Suddenly a large force of Indian soldiers then appears in the valley as they wade through the river towards the Chinese forces armed with riot shields and clubs, with one trooper appearing to be wielding as both sides engage in a shouting match and begin to push and shove each other as more men arrive and square off. One soldier is seen with a large snarling dog which is rearing up on its leash as more troops, believed to be Chinese, stream in from the other end of the valley. The video then cuts to nighttime and displays scenes of chaos, with shouting and strobing lights as Chinese soldiers wield their melee weapons. Survivors last year described bloody clashes in the dark which lasted for hours, with pictures showing spiked clubs which were alleged used by the Chinese. Further footage shows a Chinese soldier covered in blood as he receives treatment from his comrades It then shows pictures of the 4 men believed to be China's causalities in the bloody. Those killed included Qi Fabao, the regimental commander from the People's Liberation Army Xinjiang military. China's admission of fatalities comes 249 days after the battle which pushed both sides to the brink of war as they flooded the region with military. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying claimed the casualty report was only given now as that the truth is long awaited and is necessary for the people to know the true story. She said, "We hope the border issue will be put in a proper place in our bilateral. We hope to work with the Indian side to properly resolve the issue and uphold the general picture and the interests of the bilateral." The deaths in the Galway Valley were the first fatalities in clashes between the two nuclear-armed states since 1970. India and China have a pact that no guns are to be carried within a mile of the border, leading to the brutal mortal combat. Even unarmed men who fled into the hillsides were hunted down and killed, an Indian officer told News 18 Live. The dead include men who jumped into the Galway River in a desperate effort to escape. Other officials have previously branded the Chinese troops as death squads. India claims the clash started as Chinese commanders rode back on a promise to dismantle an outpost, so they sent their troops prepared for a fate. India and China have been feuding over the border since the two powers last fought a war in 1960. The two sides have spent 4 decades feuding over the Xinjiang area which is claimed by both countries. Each has accused the other of overstepping the so-called line of actual control, a de facto border between the two. Xinjiang is barren and inhospitable, with freezing temperatures and an average altitude of 14,000 feet. Despite this, it is valued greatly by both sides strategically and they have both funneled cash to build up infrastructure in the area. Talks over the past few decades have failed to resolve the dispute, which continues to flare up whenever either side makes significant moves, such as building roads and airfield. The dispute covers nearly 2,175 miles of frontier, and New Delhi accuses China of occupying almost 15,000 square miles of its territory. Last year also saw the Chinese military reportedly use a microwave weapon to cook Indian troops and force them to retreat during a border